From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. We're here in the 22 News Plus studios. I'm doing my best to introduce you and introduce myself to a lot of our local state legislators. So I'm very excited today because sitting across the desk from me, from the 12th Hampden District, is State Representative Angelo Puppolo Jr. Mr. Puppolo, thank you very much for joining me. Greatly appreciate your time.
Patrick, great to be here.
You are, if I remember correctly, I mean, you've been in office a while, but not really that long. But because there's been a lot of turnover here in Western Mass, are you the longest serving state rep here in Western Mass?
I am. You know, I got that sort of dubious distinction of being the dean of the delegation. So I'm actually the dean of the Western Mass delegation. So the longest serving member. I do want to clarify, I'm actually not the oldest member.
Right, longest serving.
I am longest serving member from all of the counties out here in Western Mass. But actually, I can expand it out a little bit further from really Worcester all the way to the New York border.
Oh, really?
I'm the longest serving rep. So it's a distinction. But yeah, there's been a lot of turnover, a lot of change. But you know, it's a great honor to be the dean, and you know, it shows that I think, you know, experience matters, especially in the turbulent times that we're in right now. I mean, certainly you need a steady hand. You need somebody that has the experience and really the wherewithal to get things done, but also to have the trust, you know, of not only our, you know, delegation in Western Mass, but really of leadership and the speaker and the Ways and Means chair, and you know, my colleagues as leaders, and as I am a chair as well. But I think that speaks volumes, and you know, I like the distinction being the dean, and I think it comes with a little bit more of for lack of a better word, respect. But I think, at least respect in the term that person's been here for a while, he knows how to get things done, and is trustworthy and honest.
So I will ask you this question, and I ask it of any elected official that sits in that chair, and you'll have a different perspective because of your tenure, because it's different when you started to what it is today. But I will ask you this question. Why? Why run for office, and why seek re-election when it seems as if our nation is so divided and there's a lot of, I guess, animosity towards elected officials? Why keep this role? Why keep helping your constituents when you can certainly do other things that are probably more lucrative and less stressful? Why do it?
Well, I think, Patrick, you just hit the nail on the head with something you said about helping your constituents. And that's what it's all about for me. You know, I mean, I like policy. Don't get me wrong, and policy is important, and we do a number of that. But constituent service, and I think with the time, with the tenure, with the wherewithal and the knowledge to get things done, to cut through the red tape for constituents. I got a lot of people that call me up with issues, whether it's DOR, Department of Revenue issues, registry of motor vehicle issues, tax issues, unemployment issues. They have nowhere to turn, right? You can call the registry of motor vehicles, you can't even get anybody to answer the phone.
Right.
You got a problem with it, unemployment. You haven't gotten your check for months, and you're in trouble financially. Where do you turn?
You need a hand. You need some help.
I wish people call me earlier, for my district. So they wait whatever time they wait, and they call. And I think that's what really what keeps me going, is the ability to help people, to get things done, and to really to have the satisfaction of knowing that, we're able to resolve problems in a fast, efficient manner. I mean, we can't, do everything immediately, but I can tell you one thing. We do answer the call. We answer constituent services. So that really keeps me going. And I think, when you look on a national level, in Massachusetts, we really don't have the acrimony that you're seeing in Washington, D.C.
Exactly. And others who have sat in that chair, locally elected, have said the same thing.
I mean, and that is a good part about it. But, everybody's got a bullseye on their back, so to speak, nowadays. And, they're critical of everything you might or may not do. But I think at the end of the day, I think proven trustworthy results, being able to help constituents, that keeps me going. I mean, I've been around for a long time. As we just said, I'm the dean of the delegation. But beyond that, what really drives me getting up in the morning, going to bed at night, is the satisfaction of knowing that we're able to make someone's life a little bit easier, cut through red tape, get through problems that they may have. And that, I think, makes a critically important difference.
Let's talk a little bit about your district. I'm going to bring up a map here that shows your district. It's the 12th Hampden District. Do you have a district office that's positioned somewhere within your area that constituents can go to seek the help that you talk about?
Yeah, so the 12th Hampton District, just for those that don't know, right, it's all of the town of Wilbraham, a good chunk of the city of Springfield, about a third of Munson, and about a quarter of the town of East Long Meadow.
Okay.
So yeah, we do have since day one, have a district office right in Wilbraham, 2341 Boston Road, right in the center of Wilbraham, and it's kind of centrally located throughout,
Yeah.
with the entire 12th Hampton District. And yeah, I mean, it's full time. It's either I'm there or staff is there. When I'm not in Boston, obviously I try to be in the district office as much as I can. But we're there to serve people. So people come in, in this day and age, we still get, we still get people walking in with foot traffic. And that's why we maintain a district office. We get a lot of emails, obviously, a lot of phone calls, a lot of different ways to handle things. But I still maintain a full-time district office right in the center of the district. So it's, I think, again, to make it easier, to have some visibility, there's office hours on a regular basis.
Good.
So, some representatives and colleagues of mine have, set office hours at different places throughout the district. We really don't need that. We have office hours 24/7 right in that office.
What are some of the biggest issues you're hearing from your constituents?
I think right now, I think the biggest thing is affordability, not to overuse that word.
Right.
Certainly it's critically important, whether it's the electric bills, whether it's the distribution rates, whether it's some of the healthcare issues. I think when you look at some of the costs, I think that's the biggest thing. Affordability is something we work and take very, very seriously. We just recently passed the Affordability Energy Act. That's going to, I think, have a big impact on the cost of energy throughout the Commonwealth, in particular my district. It's projected to save about $9 billion
Wow.
to ratepayers over the next 10 years. We've done a lot of reforms, a lot of checks and balances to make sure that we're able to, I think, address some of those issues. So I think that is a big issue. I think, certainly some of the healthcare issue relative to accessibility,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people are calling my office more than ever about, no access to
Insurance
primary care
issues, yeah.
physicians, right? Specialty physicians, or if you get into one, you got to wait months to get an appointment. So I think that that's an issue, and we're working on that. We did some healthcare reform that I think is going to go a long way relative to that. And I just think overall, the uncertainty with what's going on in Washington, D.C. has got everybody on pins and needles. Right now we're putting together our House budget, right? So we're looking at different things, and we've always projected our budget a year in advance. And there's always a certain degree of unpredictability, right? When you're going that far out with, whatever can happen with the economy or not. But we're not only dealing with that now, we're dealing with, cuts that are,
Blindsided.
right. Blindsided cuts. There's no real rhyme or reason. One day where education's cut, $100 million. The next day it's, $50 million. The next day it's $250 million. That's just one example. So between education, transportation, other types of issues that are coming out of Washington with what's going on is certainly making that unpredictability a lot more dangerous and a lot more concerning to a lot of people as we're planning this budget, for the next fiscal year.
Fantastic. We are up on our first commercial break, so stay with us. We've got plenty more to talk about. We're back in just a moment.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. Sitting across the desk from me today in the hot seat is Massachusetts State Representative Angelo Puppolo. Representative Puppolo, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate your time.
Always great to be here, Pat.
We talked about some of the issues that your constituents face. I hear that from everybody. It's the affordability, it's the health insurance, it's anything medical having to do with doctors, transportation. So it's interesting that the constituents are kind of unified in those concerns across all the districts. I do want to shift gears a little bit, and I'm looking down at my notes because I have never heard of this committee that you're chairman of. It is the House Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs.
Yes.
Explain that to me.
So, we do an important role. We deal with just what it says, right? Intergovernmental affairs. We do a lot with, intergovernment, right? Within the state government, different agencies. We do a lot, and it's a bulk of our work between the federal government. And especially right now, there's no shortage of business with that. So we're doing a lot, not so much legislation, but there's a lot of issues that we, can handle. We deal with, again, cut through some of the red tape, dealing with some of the, issues that are coming down from Washington, D.C. and how they affect the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We also work regionally with other states in the area, and also internationally. We work with our Mexican and Canadian counterparts. Not so much with Mexico, but we've done a lot of work with Canada.
Just because regionally we're closer to them, or
well, because we do a lot of trade with them. There's a lot of different stuff. We had a few people down. I used to chair the Export Development Committee, so I used to do a lot with export development. And our biggest trade partner is Canada. But we used to deal with a lot with other nations beside Canada. But right now we're dealing with intergovernmental affairs relative to Canada. And there's a lot of businesses in our area and in the Commonwealth for that matter, that do business with Canada. And we help cut through some of the red tape. So a lot of it's not like real meaty, juicy stuff that's always in the front page of the paper or anything like that. But we're helping a business because they can't get something done relative to an issue. And I'm not talking just tariffs. We're talking about other things relative to trying to make sure that they're able to either get their product to or from that particular business. And we help.
Two different governments, two different sets of rules. So trying to bridge that and find a common ground, basically.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's just a phone call, and where again the people that own the business or have the ability to do that don't have that direct connection, and so we're able to make that, and we're able to make that transition or whatever that issue might be a lot easier. So, and that's what it means, just intergovernmental affairs. We do a lot working with other governments, again mainly within the states, but we've been a lot of focus on the federal government recently, and again, no shortage of business there.
One of the things I've got in my notes for that committee is technology concerns and federal funding. Because it's federal funding, that's part of the intergovernmental aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot with Privacy Act, with now artificial intelligence, although we do have a committee in the House that deals specifically with that as well. But we're also filling that, I used to be the chair of the Technology Committee, right? Before we used to have that. So this focuses on some of the abilities. And, right now there's been a lot of push on a national level relative to artificial intelligence, putting guide rails on. We got to do something. Some areas want to go a little too far, but we do need to look at, obviously putting some guide rails on for AI and then artificial intelligence on a bigger, broader area. But then the privacy laws, we need to work on that. So we work with that on a federal level, but also with our counterparts in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to make sure that we're protecting consumers as well as our residents.
I have to imagine, because that technology is changing rapidly, you must be having conversations on that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the technology aspect of it is kind of, light speed changes.
Right.
I mean, we've had, I've had FBI agents come in and talk about things that, relative to technology and different stuff that, 2 or 3 months ago were live and good and they couldn't talk about. But because 2 or 3 months have passed and technologies have changed so much, they're able to talk about it because it's old, right? So that's how fast. It's really a rapid pace. And we have to deal with a lot of different things, and we're up for it. And again, my work on the Technology Committee before as a chair, my work on the Export Development Committee as the chair, and now my work as Intergovernmental Affairs chair, it kind of bodes very well in that realm, if you will, relative to legislation, and also just cut through some of the red tape, as I said.
So how frequently are you meeting, and I guess how many people are on that committee that you chair?
Well, it's a House committee, so we're comprised of all House members. And we meet on a regular basis. We are actually going. We're going to go up to the Maritime Academy next week, but because of this snow and because of what we're dealing with out there, we're going to postpone that to the springtime. But we just had a meeting 2 weeks ago with the National Conference of State Legislators, the NCSL, where we talk about different stuff relative to state issues and federal government issues. Again, all of that comes into that nexus relative to intergovernmental affairs. So we're quite busy. I mean, we do have a pretty packed agenda. We met with a number of people, both individually, but also as a committee. But again, a lot of the work that I might have to do is through the chair and through my ability to resolve issues that we don't have to have a committee meeting on. But we do have regular committee meetings, and we've been very active and very busy this session.
Very good. We are up on our second commercial break. We've got plenty more to talk about with State Rep Angelo Puppolo. So stay with us. We're back in just a few minutes.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this discussion on today's In Focus. Sitting across the desk from me from the 12th Hamden District is our state representative, Angelo Puppolo. Mr. Puppolo, thank you again for joining me. One of the things that you've been a part of since the very beginning conversations is the issues that we're facing with the Roderick Ireland Courthouse in downtown Springfield. Can you tell us, can you share with us, obviously not privileged information because you're heavily involved in it, where do we stand today on hopefully tearing down that awful building and constructing something new?
Well, I tell you, Patrick, I've been on that issue from day one. I mean, that building is a sick building. People have died in there and unfortunately been very ill, number of areas and aspects of health. But we're at a point now. We've gone through all that stuff. We had battles with the trial court to get to where we are right now. We've got issues with DCAM.
What's DCAM?
The Division of Capital Asset Management.
Okay.
So they are the ones that kind of build the buildings that are going to be part of the Commonwealth. So DCAM plays a huge role in all these things. But this one being part of the trial court, you got to deal with the trial court administration. So we kind of got that done and over with. They've admitted to the fact that, look, we need a new building. We cannot, renovate and rehabilitate the existing building. So we've jumped over that hurdle. So right now we're in a pretty good spot. I know, DCAM, again, they're out there getting, they're putting together the bid packages that have been submitted. There's a number of them. I think they're looking at all for the qualifying areas, where the proximity that they want to be in downtown, I think is going to be critically important. We've heard from a lot of, stakeholders, from attorneys, from judges, obviously politicians, and people that are going to use the courthouse.
Right.
Where is it going to be best situated for access, public transportation, public access, parking? All of that stuff has to come into play. And I know, DCAM, and I've talked to the commissioner, they've been very close to the vest. They've got, I think, 11 or 12 proposals right now that they're sitting on that people have submitted in the circumference of the downtown area.
And it's committed to stay in Springfield, right? It's not, they're not, are they talking West Springfield, Agawam? I'm just trying to, Holyoke, I'm just trying to think of some of the communities right around Springfield.
Yeah, that's a good question. So originally they talked a little bit about expanding that, sort of footprint, but no, we've talked to the Springfield delegation, we've talked to the DCAM commissioner, and we made that pretty clear and abundantly clear that it's got to stay in Springfield. So it's not going to be anywhere else but Springfield. The question is, where's it going to be in terms of where is it best situated? What's the best site? What's the best,
so there's still a lot of work to do with this.
They're going through all these proposals. I know a lot of people have submitted a lot of proposals, a lot of good proposals that are out there. And I think that, again, we're at a place right now that we've, any furthest we've ever been. So I'm optimistic. Still going to take a little bit of time. I talked to the DCAM commissioner not too long ago. I really don't want to delay this process any more than we really have to. They've got to do, obviously dot all the I's, cross all the T's. But we got to make sure that this building gets built, and it gets built relatively quickly, because again, the longer that the people have to stay in that building, the more concern that I have and the more concern that they have, because I do think it's a sick building.
Is there a specific timeline, or is that we're still not that close down the road to it yet?
I think once we get the proposal sort of zeroed in on where it's going to be and who's going to get that bid, I think, depending on where it is, I think a 2-year maximum outbid, to have it, start to finish is where we're looking at. So I'm optimistic if we get this thing done this year, by the end of 2028, we could have something that's up and running, or maybe shortly thereafter. I know that's some of the time frames. Again, all these things can maybe change. There might be a little bit of flexibility depending on what site gets selected. Right. Some may act faster. I know some sites actually now are knocking down the buildings that are on there in anticipation, right? If they get the bid, that they can build immediately.
So they can go quicker.
Right, they can go. And there's also some sites that are already cleared. So if they get the go-ahead, they're ready to put a shovel in the ground immediately. So it depends, again, on where that is and what happens and that whole sort of process. But I think the developers know that, we as a delegation, the state and the governor wants this thing built as quickly as we can once we get this approved. And I think they're, again, and I think, again, some of these people are knocking down buildings because they want to be able to say, hey, I'm site ready. Yeah. So go with this site because we're site ready. And that makes a huge difference as opposed to having to wait 4 or 5 months for them to clear some buildings down. So we need to act efficiently, but effectively. And I'm very, very pleased that we're able to get to this point. It wasn't easy. I mean, Western Mass, we have our battles, but we all came together as a unified voice to make sure that we were, I think, single message to the trial court, single message to DCAM, single message to the leadership in Boston.
Here's what we need.
We need a new courthouse here.
Right.
We can't fix this. It's beyond repair. There's been too many issues here. We got to get this thing squared away, and we're at a point that we're able to do that. So again, I'm optimistic. I've been a big advocate for the employees that work down there to make sure that their voices are heard, because a lot of times they don't have the ability to get that message out. So we've been making sure, I in particular have been making sure that we deliver that message to the trial court, to DCAM, to the administration, to make sure that, look, for their health, for their safety, nothing else but a new courthouse.
Fantastic. I do want to switch gears to something a little bit more lighthearted. You're not ready for this one, but folks, if you're go to any of our state legislators' websites, you're going to get a lot of great information, some of the chairmanships that they're on or whatever. But I have to bring this up. I found this on your website.
Oh boy.
It is your recipe for white clam sauce.
There you go. Linguine and white clams. It's a favorite.
That is hysterical. I love that idea.
All right. Have you made it?
Not yet. Linguine with white clam sauce is probably my favorite. So when you whip it up at the house, you call me. But why did you put that up on your website? I mean, is it an old family recipe?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy cooking. So it's soothing. My wife and kids may say they may not like everything that I make when I do make stuff, but seriously, I enjoy it. It is a recipe that my mom used to make, and thankfully she's still alive, and but it's a family recipe that we use, and I like linguine and clams. I mean, it's a classic.
It is.
Lenten dish, if you will, on a Friday for those that don't eat meat on Fridays. But it's a classic dish. You can't go wrong with a nice linguine al dente with some nice fresh clams and good clam juice. And I got to tell you, there's nothing more, I think, comfort food. I mean, we could talk about meatloaf, we could talk about pot roast, we could talk about different things, but I don't think you get a more comfort food than linguine and clams. Well, and the white sauce. I mean, you can make it red sauce, but the white sauce is the classic.
I'm with you. I think the white sauce is best, and it's puppolo.com if people want that recipe, right?
Yes, it is.
How often do you make it?
Not
often enough.
Not often enough. Leave it at that.
Have you shared it with any of your other elected officials? Maybe invite them over?
No, I haven't had them. No, I haven't had anybody over, but the Speaker of the House knows that recipe's up there as well. So
fantastic. Representative Puppolo, I cannot thank you enough for joining me today.
Thank you, Patrick.
Great conversation. A little fun there at the end. But,
absolutely. I want you to try it. Make it. Get back in touch with me.
You can guarantee I'm going to try it. It's one of my favorites.
It's an ancient Italian secret.
Too funny. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you'll come back sometime.
Anytime.
Fantastic. Good seeing you.
All right, Patrick. Thank you.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.